What is going on, everybody? It is Dylan with Astrodfs bringing you a brand new video. Today's video going over the Fanduel breakdown. So if you guys are looking for the DraftKings, I had that one uploaded yesterday, I believe. So go check that one out. If you guys are here for the Fanduel side of it, you're like me and you play on both sites. Get a lot of different variation, right? The half PPR kind of makes it different. The more salary, less player pool, you can get a lot more different on FanDuel than DraftKings because of that. So let's get into it. So obviously with the half PPR, right, Isaiah Pacheco is up there in price. So Christian McCaffrey obviously is going to be the highest on both sites, not just for the work that he gets in the receiving game, but he's the best runner on this slate. So obviously Christian McCaffrey is a pretty good lock to get. Now, what sucks is having him brings you down almost $2,000 just right off the bat, about $1,500 right off the bat per player. But with that, it's half PPR, so Debo, Rashee Rice, Ayuk, Kittle, Kelsey, all those guys kind of go down in value, right? So I think it's safe with Jerick McKinnon. Now we got news looks unlikely to be in the game, so we're gonna get Pacheco in, right? So let's get Pacheco in at 12.5. I still don't love Pacheco, but in this type of game, I like it. I think the touchdowns are more rushing upside than passing, just based off of how the defenses have looked all season. Anything can happen with a Super Bowl. There's a lot of preparation that goes into it. You have to be different. You have to get creative. You have to throw teams off. So I still think the running is the biggest scoring in this game from a fantasy perspective. So Pacheco doesn't bring us down too much, only 600. So we go down and look for some guys that are going to bring our value up. We're looking at just Kansas City wide receivers pretty much. So Kadarius Toney, Mecole Hardman, Justin Watson, these type of guys. MVS is even, I think, a fair price on FanDuel at $7,500. But the kickers too. But if we get a kicker, we're not really saving ourselves that much money. So we're going to have to pay down for somebody down here. And we're going to have to find someone that we like. So Justin Watson kind of looks... Where do we have Sky Moore? Where's Sky Moore at, though? Sky Moore is 5K. Sky Moore is 5K. That brings us to 12.5, right? So this is where it gets interesting, and tough decisions have to be made on this part. So let's go. Oh man, let's go. Mahomes, and it leaves us 10, and we can't get anybody else that goes with it. So that's tough. So getting the quarterback, running back. So let's take Isaiah Pacheco off. Or let's take Mahomes off. Let's just take Mahomes off. I'm not going to backtrack on the statement I said. So let's put Debo in, and I think we can get Debo Kelsey. We can. So obviously getting two pass catchers and not the quarterback isn't the greatest. But I kind of think this is just a solid line with no quarterbacks. Obviously, if you wanted quarterbacks who typically project out the highest, it's definitely the way to go. But getting both running backs and Mahomes, you can't really get a top pass catcher there to go with it. So, but let's try and see what we could do getting Mahomes. We're going to have to take out Pacheco then. Let's get Rashee Rice. We're left 11.5. And we get Debo. So, yeah, getting Mahomes and Rice is still just as good as getting, Kelsey and Debo. I prefer that, actually. So, that's kind of what I like. Just breaking it down. So, I still think Brock Purdy is there fantasy-wise. I'm just going to pay up for Mahomes. I'm going to trust Mahomes against San Fran's defense than I would Purdy against KC's defense. Just for the sake of this, Travis Kelce is 2K more than Rashee Rice. I still think Kelce projects better. It's just harder to do. Isaiah Pacheco, I don't like not having Isaiah Pacheco. I like having both running backs. But if you think that your mix of Mahomes and Rashee Rice is going to outscore Pacheco and Kelce, that's kind of the way to go at it. You don't want to typically have, especially Isaiah Pacheco, right? You go and look at his receiving game sometimes, and they've been low. Him not getting receiving touchdowns is tough to do, right? So that's why, like, if you go with Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy, that makes a whole lot more sense than going the Patrick Mahomes Pacheco route, just because you're covering the side of the touchdown, right? You're getting either the passing touchdown or, I would say, the rushing touchdown. I don't think they're going to go Edwards-Helaire. But on the San Fran side, Christian McCaffrey's used so much in the receiving game that Brock Purdy could throw 3 touchdowns and they're all to Christian McCaffrey. Like, that could happen. Obviously, it's not going to happen in this game, but just for the sake of making your lineups when doing these contests, that's just what you have to consider. If you're taking the quarterback and running back, you're hoping a lot of touchdowns are scored then to make up for it, rather than just going, hey, if Isaiah Pacheco gets, 1 touchdown for, let's just say 80 yards, right, and a couple receiving. Let's say he gets like 18, or 16 points, right? I think 16's fair. But Mahomes throws 3 touchdowns and throws for, 270 yards. And some of it is to Rashee Rice. Like, if Rashee Rice covers it and gets 1 touchdown and kind of ties Isaiah Pacheco, like, you're going to destroy it. But it's pretty hard to do. You're hoping that team scores a lot to get both rushing and passing touchdowns, not having a huge red zone receiving back on KC side. That's why I just would prefer going Mahomes and a pass catcher than trying to get Mahomes and Pacheco in a lineup. Brandon Ayuk, I went back and looked at San Fran in playoff games, and especially the Super Bowl, and it seems very clear that Shanahan gets the run game going. Now, obviously, this is different. You have a better passer in Brock Purdy than you have Jimmy G. You also have Brandon Ayuk. You also have CMC. So it's totally different than past San Fran teams, right? Obviously, the game against Philly, Purdy got hurt, so we couldn't really see what that offense looked like. But Purdy, McCaffrey, Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, it's a star-filled offense, but it's a very tough defense, very tough. So, kind of what I really like this lineup. Obviously, we go down and get Mahomes 2 pass catchers. I mentioned it earlier in the week. It's going to be difficult to find that value on KC's wide receivers because, especially on Fanduel, you look at these prices: MBS 75. Justin Watson 65, Kadarius Toney 6K, Mecole Hardman 55, Sky Moore 5K, Richie James 55. One of these guys I imagine is not playing. If I just had to take a guess, and it's probably Richie James. But one of these guys is going to have a good game. Like, I'd say upwards of 8 fantasy points, which doesn't seem like a lot. I get it, but for the value perspective of paying down and allowing you to pay up for somebody, you want to hit on that guy, right? So that's why I recommend playing multiple lineups and getting exposure to MVS, getting exposure to Watson, Toney, Sky Moore, all those wide receivers, because one of them more than likely is going to have a good game, if not multiple. But one of them should have a good game, and you're hoping to find the right one. And that's why playing, 1, 2, 3 lines isn't you don't set yourself up in the greatest spot doing that. You're really hoping you hit that, and if you don't and you miss, it's pretty hard to recover because there's going to be guys that max their ownership, max their lineups, and are going to have exposure to all that. So But yeah, this is kind of what I like on FanDuel. Like I said, I went more in-depth breakdown on DraftKings, but for FanDuel, I really like the way this line looks. So hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys have any questions, anything, feel free to comment. Last video for the season. So if you guys are interested in spring football content in the UFL or Dynasty, just stay tuned. I will have that content coming out for you guys this offseason. And I will see you guys in the next one.